Hello everybody. Well, looks like this is going to be take 2 of that video. Moving over here a little bit. So yeah, I just did a video. I'm sorry that this is this way. Usually I like to go, horizontally instead of the vertical. But I just did like about an 8-minute video and cut off the top of my head. I thought I had moved the camera back far enough. If I do it this way, at least I know that my fucking head is in the top of the video. In the background, you might hear some traditional Japanese music. My YouTube algorithm must be just going like crazy. I mean, it goes from like Cancer Slugs, Behemoth, Journey, Bjork, electronica, and then like 8 hours of Japanese traditional music or classical music or singing bowls. Yeah, my algorithm's just all over the place. This is the book I'm reading. And actually, I've finished it. I'm actually reading it for the second time. I do that with some of the books that I read because I want to digest the information a little more thoroughly than I find, when you're reading something for the first time, you're just kind of reading it for the first time. When you read it the second time, you're kind of digesting the information a little bit better. The Quran and the Holy Bible, I've read, this was years ago now, I read each of them 3 times each. The whole Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, right through to the freaking end, and the Quran as well, because I wanted to understand the information that I was reading. With the Bible, the 3rd time that I read it, I actually used the highlighter, and I highlighted all of the crazy shit that I found in the Bible. This isn't about Christianity or the Bible, but something much fucking cooler. Japanese philosophy that was written, I think, in 1545, if I'm not mistaken, and by Miyamoto Musashi. And this is the Book of 5 Rings, as you can read. Not a very thick book, but it says a lot. Actually, I've actually made some notes for once about all this stuff. I've been, things that I've been reading, I've been trying to jot down key takeaways and principles and things like that, just so I have kind of a better bullet point. I can look back on it if I'm talking about it like this. So, an ancient philosophy written by this incredible man, Musashi. He was a Japanese samurai, and I think there was some 60 duels from the time he was like 13 to age 30. Never lost a single battle, which is why he was there to write about this. At age 30, he actually went up into the mountains where he basically, studied his technique and the philosophy of what he had learned and how he had learned it, how he had become such a successful swordsman. And by the time he was 50, began writing this book, the Book of the 5 Rings, which turned into a school, Nitorichi Iyu. Did I say it right? Nitorichi Ryo, 2 swords, 1 school. So, 2 swords, 1 school. What does that mean? So he talks in the book about how a lot of schools back then, and as he was writing this in 1540, and I imagine it hasn't changed much since then, if not gotten worse. A lot of schools were kind of more flash and bravado, and they were more about the schools making money and kind of like putting out this whole kind of veneer of like, this is our way and how cool it is. And it became more of this is our way and how cool it is than actually of the way. Nitorichi Ryo, Musashi developed a system of training with a long sword and a short sword. Long sword, short sword, 2 swords, 1 hand. And talked about that strategy can be learned and have a better basis if you're using the long sword and the short sword as just opposed to a short sword, or just learning on 1 weapon. Key takeaways of the Book of 5 Rings. To excel at what you do and to know your craft inside and out, but also learn the crafts of others. So whatever your profession is, learn it as best as you can, and practice, practice, practice to become as efficient and deadly in your job. Which, I didn't understand when I got this philosophy book that it was based on a system of combat. But if you read it thoroughly, and as it says right in the book, if you read it thoroughly, you can take away a lot of these principles of the Book of Five Rings and use it for your own life. The more knowledge that you have in general, the better is kind of the thing. And it's not necessarily, it almost sounds like at some points you want to become a jack of all trades, but not necessarily to be skilled in all trades, just to have knowledge of the other trades, and just knowledge of other things. The more worldly you are, I think the more intelligent you are, not necessarily, not all the time maybe. I had the good fortune growing up of being able to travel extensively through the United States and Canada. And I think that was part and parcel of creating the person who I am today. We're all products of our experiences of our youth and growing up, right? It depends on how you take those experiences and use them in your life. Right? Strategy is more important than flash and bravado, which I talked about, how Musashi talked about a lot of the other schools. Basically, I'd become, like just money-making things for a way that's more flashy and dancy than actually effective in combat. So, there's 5 points of Musashi's 5 rings, which is earth, water, fire, wind, and the void. Earth is like the groundwork and the foundations, learning your craft and repeating it to perfection. Water is how you flow and move in life. And like water, flows fast, it can flow slowly, it can be, hard, like hitting hard rain, it can be hitting softly. So it's adaptability in your life, which is the way of water. Fire is how you attack. Basically, the fire chapter in Miyamoto's book is swordsmanship. Talks about some of the basics of swordsmanship in the Nito Ichi-ryu school. How you attack life using your skills combined with earth and water, how you flow and move and adapt, and the groundwork foundations. Excuse me. Wind is understanding others and understanding how they do things in their life, which you can take lessons from and build upon for yourself. And then the void's a little bit harder to describe, and he even says that in the book here. The void is not emptiness in the traditional sense of what we think of the void. The void is kind of how I'm interpreting it so far is like the cloud. It's kind of here and there, but it's all of the information that you have access to and learned. I think that's what we're getting at with the void. This is the second time I'm reading it, so I'm more digesting it now, so I'm hoping to understand the void a little bit better. Maybe a follow-up video on this. Like the philosophy that I'm putting together for myself, my own, I'm not going to call it a religion. It's a philosophy of the all and the consciousness, and everything returns to the consciousness, like the all, like in the Kabbalion, like in biocentrism. Everything moves according to timing. Now, in the all and Kabbalion and all that, it doesn't necessarily talk about timing, it just talks about movement. Everything vibrates and everything is always in a constant state of motion. Even me sitting here right now, not moving an inch or a muscle, I'm on a planet that is moving through space. I'm in a solar system that's moving through the galaxy. I'm in a galaxy that's moving throughout the universe. Everything is constantly moving, and because of that movement, everything vibrates. So, that was my takeaway so far from the Book of the Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. I'm not done yet. Like I said, I've just begun reading it again, And yeah, it's been a very, very, very cool read. While I was over here, I am still going through the witchcraft, the history of witchcraft and demonology. I'm actually working on, I don't know if you can see this, these are all pieces of scraps of paper with little notes on them because it's just absolutely amazing. I'm writing a script on witchcraft, and I'm not going to divulge about the storyline and all that, but this is the shit. Yeah, okay, won't get into that, but I'm also reading that on the side, but taking more time for the Book of Five Rings at this point. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Get yourself a singing bowl. Relax. Put on some traditional Japanese music or whatever else calms your soul. And learn to love life again. And don't worry about these massive things that are happening in the world. As I've said in other videos, it's not great to stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. But we create our own realities, and we create our own happiness, we create our own luck, all of those things. We create our own bad luck, we create our own unhappiness. So take control of your life and be happy. Like, apologize to, friends that you've had that you've not talked to in a long time. Don't sweat the small stuff. Get out into the world, touch some nature. We can't touch grass here, but we can touch trees and the wood on the trees, touch the snow, which is still connected to the ground. But just get out and get some reality. And we'll see you on the next video. Everybody take care.